All right, sixth grade, check it out. Today we're talking about division of fractions and mixed numbers. So we've already done addition, subtraction, multiplication. Now we just got to do division, and we'll have the four main operations taken care of. So get a name, date, and title. And before we actually talk about the process, I want to try and see if you can catch on to it. So I want you to think about this. If I say, what is half your age? Let's say you're 12. And if I say, what is half of your age? There are two ways to think about that. I could think about that as half of your age, meaning of would be multiplication, and half would be times 1/2. So 12, if you're 12, times 1/2. But a lot of people, what they're going to do is they're going to say, well, half of my age, I'll just take my age and I'll divide by 2. So I want you to see that. Okay? So we got 12 times 1/2 or 12 divided by 2. We're going to try and see if we find a pattern. If we're talking about a soccer game, I like soccer a lot. Soccer games are 90 minutes. So if we say, what is 1/3 of the game? If you played 1/3 of the game, how many minutes did you play? Well, you could say 90, 1/3 of the game, you played 90 times 1/3. Or another thing you could do is, a lot of people are going to say, oh, if you played 1/3 of the game, let's just do 90 divided by 3. And that would work as well. These will both give you the same answer. Just in the first case, the answer would be 6 here. Half your age would be 6. 1/3 of a 90-minute game is 30 minutes. All right, what about this last one? Quarter of a dollar. So if you have a dollar, you have $1. And if I say a quarter of, again, of usually makes us think of multiplication. So 1/4 would be 1/4. So 1/4 of a dollar. But then, again, a lot of people are still going to say, oh, that's just $1 divided by 4, divided into 4 parts. So I'm trying to draw this relationship between multiplication and division. And now that we've been talking about fractions a whole lot, what can we see is kind of going on here? Well, we can multiply by 1/2 or divide by 2. We can multiply by 1/3 or divide by 3. We can multiply by 1/4 or divide by 4. And all of these will give us the same answer. So the thing that we're going to see is that whenever we're dividing by a number, we can multiply by what's called the reciprocal. And the reciprocal is just when you flip the numerator and denominator, because 2 is kind of the same as 2/1, 3 is kind of the same as 3/1, 4 is kind of the same as 4/1. We talked about that recently. So whenever you're dividing, you can rewrite division as multiplication. And a lot of people like multiplication more. You can rewrite it as multiplication times the reciprocal. You just have to switch the second number. We reciprocate it or flip the numerator and denominator. And if you ever have multiplication, you can rewrite it as division by the reciprocal. But mostly we'll go that first direction, change from division to multiplication. So let's see what our steps are. Well, the first notes that we have to take is that division occurs when we split an amount into groups. So if you're reading a word problem trying to decide if it's division, just think that, well, do we have an amount that's being split into groups? If so, it's probably division. 2, when dividing fractions, we remember same, change, flip. And we kind of already started to figure out where that comes from. I'm also going to teach you a song tomorrow. You're going to love it. The third one is that the first fraction stays the same. So we're kind of explaining same, change, flip. So let's put a star here to make sure we all remember it. So this is first fraction stays the same. The sign changes to multiply. That's the change. So first fraction stays the same. Sign changes to multiply. And then we flip the second number. And again, that's called the reciprocal. We reciprocate it. Next note, we need to change mixed numbers to improper fractions. It doesn't really make sense to flip a mixed number since that whole number, you can't switch it with the denominator right away. So we like to make improper fractions first. Any whole number can be written as a number over 1. That's another reminder. And then final reminder, don't forget to simplify. So let's see what this looks like in practice. We've got one example for you right now. It's 2/3 divided by 1/9. And again, whenever you see division of fractions, all I want you to think is same, change, flip. So we'll say the first fraction remains the same, 2/3. Change it to multiply. And then we'll reciprocate the second number, and it'll become 9/1, or 9. First fraction remains the same. Sign changes to multiply. And then we flip the second number. And these are equivalent expressions, so they should give us the same answer because they kind of mean the same thing. You can divide by 1/9 or multiply by 9, same thing. Hopefully you see that we can simplify as we go. We can divide a number on top and bottom. If you divide 9 and 3 both by 3, you get 3 on top and you get 1 on bottom. Top times top is 6, bottom times bottom is 1. 6/1, 6 divided by 1, or 6 firsts, when 6 firsts equals 6, so we have 6 units. So this answer is just 6. Let's check out another one. Got a word problem for you, and it's really similar to last time. This says, if there are 5 and 5/8 pies left after a party and Mr. S shares them with 2 friends, how many pies does each person get? So hopefully you see that we have 5 and 5/8. That's the first amount that's given to us. They're left after a party. I'm sharing them with 2 friends. We're splitting this amount among 3 people. So this is the type of word problem that people like to ask that really gives people fits. Because you see the number 2, but you need to know that if I'm sharing them with people, then there's 3 people that they're being split between. So these are being divided into 3 groups. Remember our notes that we need to have improper fractions because, again, it doesn't make sense to try and flip around 5 and 5/8. So we could flip numerator and denominator of a fraction, so let's make it an improper fraction. Each of these 5 whole units gets you 8/8, so 5 times 8 would be 40/8 plus the 5 we already had, that's 45/8. And then instead of dividing by 3/1, let's change it to multiplying times 1/3. This will give us our answer. But before we multiply top times top over bottom times bottom, we can simplify and say 3 and 45 are both divisible by 3. If I divide 3 by 3, I get 1. If I divide 45 by 3, I get 15. 15 times 1, top times top, is 15. Bottom times bottom, 8 times 1 is 8. And what is this going to be equal to as a mixed number? Again, it would be nicer to give a mixed number as an answer. So we can make 1 full unit of 8/8, and that would be 1 whole pie. 8 out of 8 pieces in a pie. And then we would have how many left over? Well, we have 7 more pieces, so each person gets 1 7/8, a full pie and 7 out of 8 pieces. That's how much each person gets. So hopefully that made sense that we were splitting this amount into 3 groups, and so we could divide by 3 or multiply by the reciprocal 1/3. Let's do one more before I set you off on your own, and this is just when we're dividing 2 mixed numbers. So again, the first thing we need to do is create improper fractions. 5 times 6, from our whole units we get 36, plus the 5 that we had is 35/6. 6 and 2/3. 6 units gives us 18/3. 6 times 3 is 18, plus the 2 we already had is 20/3. This is division of fractions, so we'll do same, change to multiply, and flip that second number to 3/20. Again, I'm going to see if there's any way I can simplify as I go. 3 and 6 are both multiples of 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 20 and 35 are both multiples of 5. 35 divided by 7, or 35 divided by 5 is 7, sorry. And 20 divided by 5 is 4. Top times top, 7 times 1 is 7. 2 times 4 is 8. This answer is just 7/8. Beautiful. Well, those are the examples. Hopefully they made sense. If not, maybe give them a little rewatch. Make sure you have those notes down, and then you can take off on your practice problems. I have 2 for you. The first one is just 5/7 divided by 9/14. And the second one says if I have 3 1/4 cups of batter and every mini pancake requires 1/8 of a cup of batter, how many mini pancakes can I make? You don't know this, but I'm a great chef on the weekends. Best of luck on these problems, and I'll see you.